Toby Hede is the founder of a group called Finite State Machine. Sounds quite ominous. Now, Toby's worked in the trenches of the internet frontline for over a decade, designing and building web applications for a myriad of clients, large and small. As well as several Facebook campaigns, Toby's recent technical credits include the development of an innovative SMS messaging platform and the first truly simple, and I have to add this, elegant, MYOB accounting e-commerce integration. So you might want to quiz him on how it's elegant. It's very tough working with MYOB at the best of times. He is variously obsessed with Ruby on Rails, and for the developers out there, I'm sure you've used Ruby on Rails, user-centered design, high availability, and cloud computing. And I'll leave Toby to explain all those interests to you. Toby Hede, thank you very much.
PowerPoint, lovely. I actually changed my mind when I saw I was wearing black on a black background and wished that I could do a puppet show. Maybe I can. Be like, I'm going to get into some quite technical details and sort of so the more nerdy in the audience can recover from all of this business talk, which is obviously quite important. Some of that is eye-opening for me, and I have. I'm going to kind of riff today rather than have a really defined presentation. I've got a mixed bag of seemingly random thoughts, techniques, tools, and tricks of the trade that I've learned from developing about half a dozen apps of various scale now inside Facebook. Today we have 63% more alliteration for your enjoyment, and I'm going to be I've got a background in web variously for a long time. I've been involved with Facebook since the API opened up, which is only a year ago now. So when KK says 3 months is a long time in Facebook land, that's actually quite true. We've gone from 0 to 20,000 applications, and I'm of the opinion that the future may not be Facebook as such, but the future is definitely some sort of social platform, and whether they merge or they diverge or those kind of things remains to be seen, and that's going to be fought out. And in many ways, I'm intent on staying slightly agnostic as to how this goes, and there are various ways that we can. Whoa. That's scary. Various ways we can treat our applications to handle that kind of thing, and we can look at all of that in the future. I'm not sure if that was a Mac compatibility issue or not. Cool. So yes, stories so far. If you tuned into the last garage, I basically drew a picture like this in terms of the overall architecture of your application. Your application is on the right, Facebook is on the left, and essentially we have this model where Facebook is pulling data and pushing data occasionally in and out of your application. You're ideally developing in the Facebook markup language, or FBML, which is sort of a version of HTML on steroids, and should only have a few surprises if you've been developing in the web space. Facebook has profiles. It has an API that you can use to push and pull data in and out using some pretty simple, fairly standard web techniques. So one of the issues with Facebook really is it's not quite as simple to develop as a normal web application. You've got this entire extra layer of Facebook that mediates all of the user interaction. So in the most common case, when a user interacts with Facebook, it's actually then under the covers going to your application and saying, hey, I need this page, I need this data. And then in the back end of your application, you're using various API level things to push data into Facebook to do things like notifications and news feeds and messaging and all of these sorts of stuff. The outshot of all of that is that testing sucks, and that's a technical term in the software quality assurance world, and it basically means it sucks. We've got this whole extra layer of mediation that just becomes really challenging to deal with. And if you are developing applications for Facebook, you really need to start thinking about your testing environment in a way that you may not have before. But if you are a good web developer, some of this stuff is not going to be new to you. One of the issues is you have to be live all the time. So for Facebook to actually communicate with your application, to grab that FBML, your application needs to be accessible from Facebook. This can be a real problem. If you've got a normal development cycle, it might mean that you are pushing updates to your development server on a more or less constant basis. Depending on your tool set, your compile cycle, all of that kind of stuff, that can be really painful step to go through. So every time you make a change, and some of these changes may be typo kind of level changes where you've just got the wrong thing, and now all of a sudden you have to wait 30 seconds for your tool to, warm up and communicate with the gods, and then FTP something somewhere, and then you can render it in Facebook and go, oh, I still got it wrong. It's really painful. So my first piece of advice is you really need to have a look at getting what is called an SSH tunnel. So basically what we're going to do is have a server that's permanently on the web, and we're going to trick Facebook into talking to that server, and that server is going to then talk to our local development environment. In a team situation, this becomes a little bit tricky again, because if you've got multiple people running the same application and a large application, you're going to need to have that set up several times in Facebook in all likelihood in order to get that working. So this is some of the drawbacks of Facebook at the moment, and it's going to be the same with all of these different social network tools, and they just aren't quite there yet. So basically, in this kind of model, Facebook talks to some sort of server, and the server behind the scenes is talking to your development environment. So in my case, I set this up so I have a server that's talking to my laptop, I'm saving to the local disk, I'm doing all of those kind of things, and just using some magic on the server side, you can have Facebook actually thinking it's talking to one thing, but it's all being piped through to your local machine. Saves a lot of time. So inside an application, I just grabbed this screenshot. I've got access to the finiteStateMachine.com server, and I'm running on port 449s there, and that's actually ultimately being mapped to my laptop through that server. Oh yeah, and also thanks Facebook. As you can see there, even though I'm obviously a hard-working developer with lots of expertise and that sort of thing, all that Facebook cares about is my status as single. So it's not until you actually start getting a bit paranoid about what you're putting in here, and I suddenly looked around the room and thinking, well, surely Apple should be paying me today to have this laptop productly placed on this table here. But you're actually surrounded by this all the time in Facebook. Yeah. It's a bit weird. You're going to need to create many dummy accounts. It's a slight breaking of Facebook's terms of service, etc., that they don't seem likely to enforce.